This is Late Night Lee Talks TV. I'm Late Night Lee, and I talk reality TV dating shows such as Ready to Love, Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, and Love Island, just to name a few. So if you do enjoy that type of content, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on when I upload a new video. Now, let's get into Ready to Love, Season 9, Fort Worth, Texas, Episode 3. Whew, a lot to get into. So let's start off with the singles that we met from episode 2. So they're sitting in a room, and Tommy lets them know that they're about to meet the first group of singles. And the singles walk in from group 1, and they're pretty much mixing and mingling. And of course, everyone is checking each other out to see who they like. Now, I feel like this particular format was really, really good because it gave us as viewers, and I'm sure the singles, the opportunity to really meet and connect with people in an easier manner as opposed to having to try and get to know 10 people at a time. So let's get into it. Everyone meets, everyone is intermingling and going on dates. Now, we all know there are quite a few explosive scenes that happened in this episode. So let's get into it and start talking about these dates. Now, we see quite a few dates, and I will say that the dates that they showed, it seemed like the majority of the dates that they showed were bad dates. And again, we're not getting a lot of camera time from a few people. It seems like the show is focusing on a small group of people, but let's see what happens in episode 4. It's still early in the show, and that's understandable. It's still early in the season. So let's see what happens. But, alrighty, so people are mixing and mingling. The biggest issue, let's just start with it. It was Lamar and April. So I do want to point out something that I feel like most people are not pointing out. And it's the fact that these dates look hella awkward. So they're in a restaurant, and the restaurant is completely empty. And I'm sure they do that for insurance and liability purposes. And that makes sense. I understand that. That is fine. But if you are sitting in a completely empty restaurant and you have a production team, you have producers, and then you have cameramen, and they're all in a corner somewhere, not even in a corner, but they're where, they're in the room, and you have huge lighting and stuff set up. This is not, and they're also alone, completely alone in the restaurant. Now I'm sure there's staff and stuff around. They could be in one section of a restaurant, but still, they are alone in this setting, and they have a huge camera team behind them. It's just not conducive to getting to know someone on a first date. It's really not. Point blank in the period. It's just not. It makes for a very awkward setting. It really does. And the date itself was very awkward. Now, I will say that April was rattling off questions, and it is hard when you are on a first date with someone and you're trying to get to know them and you are asking them questions. It could come across as very interviewee ish. But again, this is editing, so we don't know if there was some type of communication beforehand, and we can tell that there was communication beforehand because later in the men's lounge, Lamar says that April was talking about her degrees and her PhD, and baby, we gonna get into it. But we don't see her talking about that on the show. So clearly this was edited. Now, people tend to forget that, and you cannot take a show at face value. You have to take it as there was editing. There are things that we're not seeing, and it's clear that there's editing and things that we're not seeing, and this is bunched up. This is cut and sliced in so many different ways. So let's talk about this date. April starts rattling off questions and Lamar is answering, but there is an undertone in his voice as well, like next question, next question. And then April asks the question of when was, were you ever married? When was your last relationship? Things like that. And she asks how long was that last relationship or something to that effect. And he took offense to that and he wanted to know why. He didn't want to answer the question and he wanted to know why that was relevant. And her response, I felt like, was a little off putting because she said, oh, because I want to know and because I asked or something like that. And I felt like, okay, that was rude. But her questions were valid because if you tell me that your last relationship was 3 months ago and it was a 5 year relationship, I'm getting up and I'm leaving. I don't want no parts of your rebound journey. There's no way you're over that situation. 3 months is a little bit too soon. Even 6 months. I mean, some people look at that and say, you're probably just ready to be single and mingle. Now, there are some people who are relationship people and they jump from relationship to relationship. Jennifer Lopez is one of them, okay? But everyone doesn't want to take that chance. And for the most part, it's the exception, it's the rule. Like Jennifer Lopez would be the exception, but most people after a relationship, they do want to have fun and, let loose. And you're like, okay, you can do that, but if I'm looking for love, I'm not looking for someone who just wants to have fun. And I've been in a situation like that before where the person didn't want to settle down because they recently got out of a 4 year relationship. So they wanted a situationship with me and that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, that question is important for the men who don't realize why it is important. It is. And of course, it led to the very negative interaction that we saw with April and Lamar. And April gets up and walks away, and Lamar says, dismissed. Sir, you thought you ate, but you didn't because you did not. You dismissed her after she walked away, after she got up and you saw her behind. That's not being dismissive. Once she gets up and walks away, it's done. If she was still sitting there and you said dismissed, then maybe. But no, like you thought you was doing your big one and you weren't. You weren't. But I also want to mention again that Tommy did tell the men he did tell the singles when they all got together, the group 1 and group 2 singles, he told them that the men are in charge. Again, why would you do that? Because now you have these men feeling like they have the power and they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want. And they know that they have the option to send someone home and they're not going home. But let's be real. I feel like Ready to Love should have said, you know what? We're going to do things differently. We're going to make an unprecedented move and we're going to go ahead and send Lamar home. Because to me, he should have gone home. Production, I got some words for you. But let's move on. That date was horrible. It was, the environment itself, I feel like was not conducive to what a normal date would be like. So we have to remember these things when we're watching the show because this is not normal circumstances. When we go out with someone, if we are, in a setting alone, we're probably in private, like in someone's home. If that's your first date, then hey. But if you do that, like you're in a space where you can probably be a little bit comfortable, you can let your hair down, you're alone. It's different as opposed to being on national television. And if you're in a restaurant, 9 times out of 10, the restaurant is going to have a ton of people around. It's not going to be you sitting in the middle of a restaurant that's completely empty. And it's almost like interrogation style. And that's what it was in regards to the questioning. But Lamar's response was very rude. It was very disgusting. If you don't want to answer a question, you can easily say, I don't really want to get into that. Pivot. Lamar is 42 years old. So there is no excuse for his behavior because as a grown man at your big age, you need to know these things. If you don't like a line of questioning, very nicely, swiftly say, you know what? Let's change things up a little bit. Can I ask you some questions? We could get more into me, later as I get to know you, but I want to ask you a few questions. That would have been better. That would have been so much better. But we have to know how to talk to people and we have to know how to use emotional intelligence, and a lot of people don't. I do want to point out that when Lamar first met April, she went to give him a side hug. She just went to lean into him and he kissed her on the cheek, and she didn't like that. Again, it's the lack of social awareness and social cues. Everyone is not into that. Everyone does not want a kiss on the cheek. If this woman was giving you a side hug, then maybe she did. Okay, let's move on. So we have Jonathan, and baby, I got some words for Jonathan. I'm already 11 minutes in, and I haven't even touched the surface. Jonathan went on quite a few dates, and he seemed to not like many of the women. Jonathan very quickly and swiftly decided he didn't like half the cast already, and we're only on episode 3. Jonathan only liked Alexis because Alexis said that she was cool with having her feet rubbed and all that stuff. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. That's why he liked her. He didn't like Koshia. Now, I feel like this had to have been editing because Koshia says that quality time is her love language. And he said, why is that important to you? And she could not answer. I feel like that had to be editing. But an easy response would have been because most people are busy. They work, they may have children, and time is so valuable. So when you give me your undivided attention and time, I feel special. And that lets me know that I have a place in your life when you are making time for me. You're making me a part of your day. So and that is off the top of the dome. So I can't imagine that she really sat there and had no answers. I feel like that had to have been editing, but if it wasn't, there's a quick, easy answer that could have been used. But of course, Jonathan doesn't like her. Jonathan doesn't seem to like a lot of women, and yeah, let's get into it. So him and Mika and April are sitting down and talking, and they ask him, what's the situation with your baby mama? And he says, do you think that she's still in love with you? Is what the woman asked him. Mika and April asked Jonathan that. And his response was, yes. As soon as you tell me that, I'm getting up and I'm walking away. I have heard awful stories of women who have been with a man for years and having to deal with baby mama drama, having to deal with issues with where the kid is going to be on the holidays, and the father having to choose between his significant other or spending the holidays with the kid. Like, it's too much. It's too much. And people don't want to deal with that. So as soon as you say that, conversation is over to me. But Jonathan wasn't feeling the conversation, of course, because it was somebody requiring more from him than some type of physical touch or involvement with feet. So he didn't like the conversation. And he decided, now, very politely, he said, I need to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Knowing fully well he wasn't coming back. So he should have left that last part out. But he said, you know what, ladies? I'm going to excuse myself because I want to use the bathroom. And that is fine. Lamar learned something. If the conversation is not going how you want it to go, just say, you know what? I'm going to go use the bathroom and I will catch up with you ladies afterwards or another time. But there's no reason to be rude. But yeah, so of course, because of that line of questioning, Jonathan wasn't feeling Mika and April. But of course, it's literally half the cast that he's not feeling. And it's like, sir, this is week 3. Like, what are we what are we doing? Now, I'm sorry, it's not technically it's not week 3 because the show is filmed in such a tight span, but still, you are meeting half these women and you are immediately dismissing them. And he said that his relationship with the mother of his children ended 2 years ago. But sir, are you ready to love? Have you healed? Because you so quickly seem to dismiss women. And that says a lot more about you, and not in the best way possible. Because women, I feel like we give more grace to men when, even if they say something that we don't like, we still may give them a chance because we know that people aren't perfect and people make mistakes. And this environment is not a normal environment. But no, not with the men. The men are very much not interested. And, we'll see how things go when you don't have the power in the upcoming weeks. So let's go on to LaRon and Patrice. So LaRon and Patrice are at a restaurant and they order food that I don't feel like is appropriate for a first date because Patrice ordered turkey neck. And I never had turkey neck, and I'm sure it's probably really good, and it did look good. But you don't want to go on a first date eating any food that you have to use with your hands or that would get messy, the potential of possibly getting messy. You want to eat food that's super duper easy to cut, slice, and chew. Like, you don't want to have to be struggling with your food or using your fingers, not necessarily on a first date. I mean, unless you're eating like a burger or a hot dog, but still, you don't want to get, sauce on the side of your mouth. So, yeah, what you choose to eat on the first date, it can matter because clearly these men are very quick to dismiss women. But we see LaRon order catfish, and maybe he was tearing that catfish up, and he loved that catfish. And, he seemed to be more interested in the food than Patrice, and that wasn't going to work. Also, we see, who do we have next? Which date was important to talk about? I would say, well, let's go to the men's lounge for the sake of time. Let's go to the men's lounge. So the men start to, no. Lamar talks to, what is this woman's name? I want to say her name is not Virginia. Lord. So LaRon's on a date, and I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but we saw her in the second group of singles, and she had the connection with Chaz. Vanessa, there we go. I said Virginia. Vanessa. So Vanessa and Lamar is talking, and Lamar tells her, I want to see you get loose. I want to see you get wild. Scream for me. Make some noise. Do XYZ. Like, sir, she's not a puppet. She is not a puppet, and you are not the puppet master. If she's not your type because she is more quiet and reserved, keep it freaking moving. Just keep it moving. I don't understand, what the issue is. Let's go on to the men's lounge. So we get to the men's lounge, and most of the men off rip say they are feeling Patrice. Patrice, lighter skinned woman with the blonde braids and tattoos. They're feeling Patrice. Now, Patrice does seem to have a great personality. So, the men are feeling her. And they are asked who they're not feeling. And the majority of men say they're not feeling Koisha and they're not feeling April. And of course, Lamar, let's get into him. We're about to go on a rant. Lamar goes, oh, her degree is this, and she's talking about her degree. Sir, if your ass, and this does not only apply to Lamar, this applies to all the non-college educated people who love being offended by someone talking about their degrees. Just because you don't have a degree doesn't mean that this woman shouldn't talk about hers. Okay? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why should she have to downplay her degrees and her success because you ain't got shit going on? You're a DJ and a coach. Okay, sir. And like, if she has degrees, let her talk about it. That's an accomplished woman. And a lot of these men love complaining about, women being gold diggers and not wanting a woman, not wanting them for their money. Well, you meet a woman who is going to have her own. Oh, but no, 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 no. You don't want that. You don't want that. What you want a woman who is below you, who needs you for financial stability. That's what you want. You don't want a woman that could match your fly. Well, let's be clear. April and Lamar ain't matching nothing. I'm sure April is well above Lamar's socioeconomic status. Let's keep it a buck. You know, that pharmaceutical, baby, that's where the money resides. Where the money resides. Big facts. Don't know money be residing in DJing and coaching. Unless you're coaching like a major D1 college, or coaching in the league, or, what do they call it? Those 5A or whatever it is, high schools, you ain't making bank like April is making bank. So stop it. Unless you're DJ Khaled or, unless you on that level, you ain't touching April's money. You not. So just say it that you're jealous. Let that woman have her degrees. She's an accomplished woman. She's a woman that is going to be able to buy the table. Not bring something to it, but buy it. Okay? So when it's time to go buy a house and all types of things, she can match you. But of course, I'm sure, again, he can't match her. It came from a place of jealousy. We didn't hear her say it, and we don't know if she came across as braggadocious, but there's nothing wrong with the woman mentioning her accomplishments. Now, I know other people will say men are not interested in that. I know, because most of y'all are shallow until you get with women who are constantly asking you for money because they're broke. As opposed to a woman who doesn't need money from you, all she really and truly needs is your love and companionship. That's the kind of woman that you actually do need to get with. Is the woman that needs your love and companionship, and not the woman who is out here asking to hold something till she get her check. But, we don't know how she said it. We don't know what she said. But I think he took it the wrong way because, again, he doesn't have any degrees. A man who has been to college and understands the work that it takes to get one degree is not going to have that kind of response to an accomplished woman like her. Point blank in the period. Point blank, period. She has to get with somebody who has a graduate degree because those are the type of people that will respect and understand her hustle and what she had to do to get where she is. But for him to specifically call that out, if he could have said, she came across braggadocious, she came across as arrogant, or she came across, as unfriendly, or whatever it is. If that's what she wanted to say, then say that. She came across too cocky, bragging on herself. Not her, I don't care about your degrees. Like, we're not applauding mediocrity. We're not applauding a man who is probably mediocre being offended by a woman who has, of course, graduate degrees, a PhD. Baby, that is work. That's research. That's not somebody who goes on social media for their news. That's somebody who has to do research. And people writing 30+ page papers, journal articles, stuff that are going to get published. Yeah, that's the work she's putting in, so respect it. And if you don't know, then don't talk about it. But what we're not going to do is disrespect black women who have the education that black men don't have. Point blank, period. So next, here's a shit that really pissed me off. Let's go. Let's go. You thought that pissed me off? Let's go. No, I want to talk about Jonathan. Jonathan said in the men's lounge that, what is her name? Alexis made him feel safe. I repeat, Alexis made him feel safe. Where did we hear that before? That was last week with Patricia. Patricia said last week she wanted a man that can make her feel safe. Jonathan, completely uninterested in her for whatever reason. You have your guard up. So, I don't think you're ready to love. I don't think she's ready to love because she has her guard up. No, you just sat there and said Alexis made you feel safe. You know why? Because she's okay with your fucking toe sucking. That's why she made you feel safe. But you liked that. You liked that you can be yourself and you weren't being judged. That is a part of making someone feel safe. So she made you feel safe, but when Patricia said that's what she wanted, oh no, that was too much. That was too much. She's a guard up. She's a guard up. Sir, no. Jonathan has his guard up because Jonathan has already dismissed half of the cast. He dismisses them after one date. He gives the woman no grace whatsoever. He dismisses them after one date. And then he also seemed like he could possibly not be over his ex. Because why is she still in love with you after 2 years? Do you just think that because you think you're God's gift to women? These men are so disappointing. Because for you to say that Patricia has her guard up, so you're telling this woman that she still has work to do on herself when your ass sat there this week saying, "Oh, Alexis made me feel safe." Boy, you're the one that's not ready to love. The way you just quickly dismiss these women, seem to be very concerned with feet and toes. Good and bye. Good and bye. I did like, however, that LaRon decided to stand up for Koisha, and I think that is what saved her from getting eliminated. Now, let's get into the fact that these people were diabolical. Why are you allowing someone who disrespected a person to be the one to send them home? Now, I know everyone is thinking, well, last year, the girl who sent Chris home because Jessica sent Chris home because he called her aggressive. Yeah, but they didn't really have a falling out like that big that we see between, like the falling out between April and Lamar. That falling out was a lot worse, and it happened, the previous day, as opposed to what happened between Chris and Jessica. So why would you allow the man who disrespected April to be the man to send her home? That was some bullshit. That was some bullshit, and I'm sure he couldn't wait. He loved and enjoyed every minute of it. She thought she was going to get an apology from him. Man, that's some bull. But hey, April gets sent home. She really didn't seem to have a solid connection with anyone. And it seems as though you really just need at least one solid connection in the first couple of episodes to be able to stay on the show. And we didn't really see that. Of course, there's so much editing going on. There's so many dates going on. You have 20 singles. It's a lot of dates, and we're not seeing them all. Even though they try to do multiple people in one date, we're again not seeing it all. Now, let's get into the BS. So we have Alonzo and Koshia go on, well, he's supposed to let her know that she was kind of in the bottom, but she's still ready to love. And they have a conversation that apparently took place over the phone, no cameras around. And during the conversation, Alonzo was rattling off questions like black or white, east or west, sunset or sunrise. And one of the questions he asked was choked or spanked. Now, Koshia didn't like that. If you are trying to get to know someone and they immediately go into sex, you have a right to feel how you want to feel about that. If you're not interested in talking about those things, that is fine. But what I didn't like was Alonzo playing in our face and acting like we're stupid, and the fact that we wouldn't think that he was talking about sex. He really tried to say, you didn't give me the respect enough to ask me what I was referring to. Sir, choked or spanked is either referring to sex or it's referring to hurting someone and putting an end to their time here on the planet. So, did you mean the sex part, or did you mean to hurt and end someone's life? That's what you do. That's what happens when you choke someone and you don't stop. Okay, so what did you mean? The only two ways that we can think of, and please comment below if you know a third way. Please comment below and let me know if choked or spanked, if it doesn't mean sexual or if it doesn't mean to physically harm someone, what is the third way that Alonzo could have been referring to? And when I tell you Koshia, now she has been controversial, but I felt her on this. The majority, it was very well put together when she said it, very, very well spoken. The majority of the population is automatically going to think that when you put those three words together, yes, it's sexual, because the other connotation or the other meaning would be to hurt and harm someone. So is that what you mean? How do you want to be hurt or harmed? Okay. Okay, Ted Bundy. Like, what are you doing? What? It can only mean one or two things, sir. So stop it. And that's what I mean. Like, so many men, they will sit there and play in your face like you stupid. They play in your face like you stupid. You can't do that. Everyone isn't stupid. Well, you didn't give me the right. You didn't ask me. We're not stupid, sir. It means one or two things. Please comment below if it can mean something else, because I don't know. I don't know. If y'all want to tell me in other cultures that choking is a sign of saying hello, then go ahead. Let me know. Let me know. Put it in the comments, because it's not. And it only means one or two things. And he really tried to say with a straight face that was not what he meant. Instead of just saying, I apologize, I'm playing. No, Alonzo, that is who you are. Because when we first got introduced to you, one of the three things you said about yourself was that you were a freak. You were freaky. Or whatever it was you said, meaning that. The talk about sex, we don't want to keep having these conversations. And Koshia, she got up and left, and I applaud her for doing that. Leave the foolishness, because it's stupid. It makes no sense for that man to sit there and play in your face and the American viewer's face that we wouldn't know what the hell he was talking about. Like, you are a gaslighter and you don't need to be on this show. Quite frankly, Lamar can leave, Jonathan can leave. I still have not forgotten about Will. And yeah, I saw him in the men's lounge. Will could leave. I mean, Will could leave. Lamar could leave. Jonathan, Alonzo. Yeah. Not feeling this group of men. It's, I'm glad I'm not single anymore. However, I still have single friends, and I know that in life anything could happen. And I would hate to think that this is what dating is like. It's just, I feel like production does this on purpose because these men are being who they are. And I'm sure when production interviewed them, this is also who they were. And production brought these people on the show to stir up drama. And they're purposefully showing us these bad dates for the drama. When we actually really do want to see good dates, we do want to see people, meet each other and hit it off and have things in common. You could throw in a little bit of the drama there, but we do want to see people getting to know each other and falling in love. We do. This has gone on long enough. Please comment below and tell me your thoughts on these people. Justice for Patricia. She deserves it. And this is Layton Ali. I'm signing out, y'all. I'm signing out. I'm very much disappointed in Ready to Love. Please go back and watch my video of the issues with Ready to Love, the real issues with Ready to Love as a show, and comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you noticed some of the things that I noticed. Let me know if I didn't cover something that you wanted me to cover. Baby, I'm tired because this show is draining already, and we're only in episode 3. I'm praying that maybe we're gonna get all the bad dates out of the way first, and it will get better. But y'all, let me get out of here. This is Layton Ali signing out. Don't forget to like the video. Bye-bye.